Yo, what's up, guys? It's Dom, and you're tuning in to Talks with Dom, where we touch on a series of topics that dives into the creator within. Over time, the goal is to help each and every one of you partaking in this transformation to better understand who and where you are on your journey. So let's chop it up, guys. Right? So we're on to point 17, attachment to hopelessness. Right? So we want to target basically the understanding of the hopelessness that attaches to the creative, right? So it's not just about the base of losing hope throughout this whole point, or losing like motivation, or like losing the drive to continue to create, or to continue to basically be like who you are as a creative, right? So as a whole, it's really just better understanding just the hopelessness that happens throughout the full motion of being a creative, right? So hopelessness usually isn't created by one disappointment. It develops when disappointment becomes repeated evidence for a conclusion about the future, right? It goes, a creative tries, it doesn't happen. Then try again, still nothing. Eventually, the question shifts from why didn't this work to why would anything work, right? That shift right there, that right there of what happens from this didn't work, right? Why didn't this work, right? Maybe this thing won't work for me, right? Understanding that pattern early on as a creative, when we're going through these things of trying new things, or of trying to get this like a certain idea across the way that we want it to be perceived, or the way that we want to be able to show the people that we're making it for, or show what is interesting and what is dope to us, right? So once we feel like that thing is just not working for us, and it's something that came from us, like, dang, like this is an idea that I had for myself, right? After a while of failing to be able to get that across, or be able to make that thing the way that you want it to be, it starts to turn into something. If you allow it, it starts to turn into something that is like, why does this keep on happening to me, right? This happens to me every time that I do this, right? It shifts from why didn't this work to why would anything work, right? Maybe this whole thing is just not for me. Maybe I just need to go off to something different, rather than just being like, okay, maybe I just need to try it from a different angle. Maybe I just need to do this from this way instead of trying it from this way, right? The creative is no longer simply experiencing an outcome. They're using past outcomes to predict future possibilities, right? So sticking from that moment that we were just talking about, to predict the things that you try in the future, right? Once that prediction becomes believable, hopelessness begins to shape the creator, right? So we're going to the accumulation. Once disappointment, all right, one disappointment can hurt. Repeated disappointment can shift, changing what the creative expects, right? Let's do that one more time. I kind of like went through that like in a weird way, I believe, right? So one disappointment can hurt. One disappointment can hurt. Repeated disappointment can start changing what the creative expects, right? Experience becomes a pattern, right? So that experience of repeating that thing, repeating of what is not happening, or repeating the thing that happened before that you didn't like the result of, right? It starts to become a pattern that you be like, damn, like I'm starting to see that pattern in how I do that, right? So now that's something that's becoming part of like your wiring, right? Then we're going on to the next one, the conclusion. Eventually, the creative gives the pattern meaning. Maybe this isn't going to change, right? This is where disappointment starts becoming hopelessness, right? Starting to believe in that belief, right? Starting to make that pattern something that's actually true within yourself, right? When in all reality, it's just a thought. It's just something that's happening for right now, right? Not something that can actually, not something that can't change, right? So going into that, guys, is more of understanding that these patterns are here to show us ways that we can become better, ways that we could create in different ways, right? So we're going into the internalization. The conclusion begins moving from things aren't working to things aren't going to work for me. Like I had said before, we start to see that, and I look at it as almost like a tunnel, right? Like you're in your own tunnel, and the thing said to self, which is the creative on the inside of you, is basically what's giving you the gas to continue to go to continue to drive, right? That circumstance becomes personal when you look at it like, dang, this thing only happens to me. Like this thing continues to happen to me. It only happens to me. This thing continues to do the same thing, right? Like this is not going to work for me, right? So saying that to yourself and looking at it that way, it's almost like poking a hole in your gas tank, right? So as you're going down a long tunnel, right, you're understanding that you're not going to make it all the way through because your gas is leaking out. The car is not going to continue to go because the way that you're thinking is not going to get you to where you need to go. It's not going to get you to where you're destined to go, right? So now we're going on to the next one, the restriction. Once the future is expected to disappoint, the creative naturally becomes more guarded with their imagination, with their effort, risk, and willingness to continue, right? Why fully invest in something you've already decided won't happen, right? That's the question, right? That's the question right there. But at the same time, you have to look at it, right? You're already invested in something that you believe won't happen, right? So it's almost like you're already placing that to be a statement, placing that to be truth in your life, right? Ways that hopelessness just sets in on the creative, right? Creating those walls, creating doors that are locked around, right? Like in videos that we talked about before, right? We're here to go through these doors of questions that's within ourselves to better understand the creative that's on the inside, right? And as we're going through these doors, allowing acceptance, right? Allowing ourselves to align, right? We're unlocking these doors for self, the creative, to be able to go through, right? We have to open up these doors so that that creativity is able to roam and tap into different things, right? So if all of these doors are locked, right, there's only so many places that that creativity can expand to, can grow into, could truly be able to explain to you, like, dang, this is what it could be. This is what it truly is, right? But if no doors open, it's only one explanation. It's only one verdict, right? The creative cost. This is where attachment to hopelessness becomes destructive. The creative may stop creating because they stop believing creation can lead somewhere, right? Once you understand, once that door is locked, right, and once you throw away that key, once you throw it in the river, right, being able to go through that door, the success of being able to go through that door with your creativity is kind of done and done, right? Because you kind of set it in your mind to not want to unlock the possibility of being able to create in that way, being able to see your lane through this perspective, right? Hopelessness doesn't just make a creative question whether the future will change. It can make them stop participating in the possibility that it could, right? So it's just more of like understanding that these things are coming in our life not to just be here forever and just mold us to just not change and not grow, not become who we're supposed to be. They're here, right? These things are here. These locked doors are here. These certain challenges in our lives are here so that we can grow through them, right? Our creativity is our creativity because we are who we are, right? You are who you are. And that's just the bottom line of it, guys. So then understanding how these things creep in to our lives, understanding how these things creep into the way we see, you know what I mean? The way we look at motivation that's lost, right? The way we look at our drive, not really having the momentum that we want, right? The hope that we once had for a certain idea or for a certain creation that we want to have come to fruition, right? So being able to sit through this moment and not really just sit through and just kind of let it be, understand what that is for yourself, right? Understand where you are with this, right? To be able to continue to go, oh, this is why I continue to see this like this, because I'm not trying to open up that locked door, right? I'm seeing the tunnel, right? But sometimes I can cause myself to poke a hole in my gas tank sometimes. You know what I mean? Not being able to see it how I want to see it, right? Every time, right? Can cause us to poke holes in our gas tanks. And which, once we start to see that, now you start to understand, okay, well, this is what I need to do when this time comes around, right? Because these times are coming, right? Like it's no way to stop these things from coming. It's life. Life is always going to be life, right? So being able to understand what to do when these things come around, that's the thing, right? That's what helps us to continue to go, right? That's what makes that creativity turn into something that could be limited to something that's expanded so much that blockages within yourself when you're trying to create almost become like non-existent, right? Because you allow your day-to-day to be something that you can create from. Things that happen in your life on a day-to-day, right? Your life hasn't stopped, right? Just because you're not doing as much as you believe that you should be doing, it doesn't mean that things aren't happening in your life. That doesn't mean that ideas aren't rolling in your mind, right? So let's continue to have that awareness within ourselves for that hope that tries to slip away, that motivation that tries to slip away, that drive that starts to lose the momentum and the role of going forward, right? So yeah, man. But until the next one, though, guys, continue to watch through these videos, though, man. If it's anything that you think I should talk about more within these certain points of what we've already talked about, or a certain point that I need to kind of go deeper into, right? Let's leave that in the comments, right? Let's start the conversation. This is going to be like an ending like sector of the video every time of where I talk about this, right? To where it should be a conversation in the comments talking about the point that we're on, or talking about the past points, talking about where you feel like you are on your creative journey, right? Understanding a certain part of yourself to be able to create in this certain way, right? Let's continue to do that. Let's expand, right? The people that we're bringing to this conversation, right? If you know someone that is on the journey of identifying the creative on the inside of them, bring them to the movement, bring them around this energy. You know what I mean? Drop a like, subscribe if you're rocking with these points that we've been talking about over the past weeks, right? So we're going to just continue to go. We're here for the longevity, right? So let's just continue to be better and continue to be effective and progress in our creativity, right? So until the next one, though, guys.